Broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Here's your host, Andrew Romanella.
Okay? Like, just get the hell out of here. Nobody cares what you think if you're not a Mets fan.
Going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Rome Show here on Broadcasting live on YouTube and X. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 20 or 25 minutes. It's a Friday here on the Rome Show, which means so much to do and so much to get to. If you want to get in on that action, like I said, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. It's youtube.com/the Romanellas. If you want to comment live, go to YouTube, get to the Romanellas, hit subscribe, then get to the show, and you can comment live right there on the bottom of the show, or go to Twitter X, the Rome Show 1. That's the Rome Show, then the number 1, or Instagram, the Rome Show 1. As well, we got some football for the people. Thursday night football last night. The Green Bay Packers made a statement to the National Football League in each of their first 2 weeks of playing, so we will delve into that. Of course, we have our week 2 National Football League picks coming off a 5-10 weekend last weekend, looking to uptick the picks this weekend. A new segment for the people. That's right. You got to tune in around 7:20, 7:25 today, because we have a new segment called Seska's Sense, where we will be picking some college football bananas for the people. And of course, Whatcha Watchin is usually what finishes Watchin the Friday show for the people. So much to do here on YouTube, X, and Instagram Live. Be sure to comment and get in on the action. Let's start here today with a Thursday night football preview from last night. The Green Bay Packers, they defeated the Washington Commanders by a score of 27-8. Another really commanding victory for the Packers. They led this game the entire 60 minutes that this game was played. They scored points in each of their 4 quarters. They held the Washington Commanders to 3 total points through the first 3 quarters of this contest. And now through 2 weeks of week number 2 of the National Football League season, the Green Bay Packers held last year's number 1 offense in the Detroit Lions. In 2024, the Lions averaged 33.2 points per game. In week number 1, the Green Bay Packers held them to only 13 points. Last season, the Washington Commanders were 5th in the National Football League in points per game at 28.5, for good for 5th in the National Football League. And yesterday, the Packers held them to 18 total points. So 2 teams that averaged combined 30 points per game last year averaged combined 15.5 points per game this season against the Green Bay Packers. And you can't help but believe that this Packers team is as good as we all believe they would be. And I kind of want to give the group some credit here, because I think a lot of, if not all of, the praise for the Packers came from post-Micah Parsons trades. And don't get me wrong, you don't add a guy like Micah Parsons and say, nah, we're good. We didn't really need him. He was just a good bonus add. No, you add a guy like Micah Parsons because everyone needs a guy like Micah Parsons, and it makes everybody's defense better. But I say all that to say this. The Packers clearly coming into this season were a really good football team. And I had heard some different people talking about how they'd be good and they'd compete. And I think we all thought they'd get back to the playoffs. I think we all thought they'd be better than last year. And with the probability of Minnesota and Detroit falling back towards the pack from 15-2 and 14-3 last season, it made almost that much more sense to put Green Bay in the mix of teams, not just in the NFC North, but in the NFC in general that are a favorite to come out of this conference. That's all before Micah Parsons gets added. You could tell this team was going to be good no matter the number one or lack of number one on their team. Now you add Micah Parsons to that defense that is shut down. When watching that game last night, when watching some of that Detroit Lions game in week number 1, for me, for the Green Bay Packers, it really feels like there's zero space on the field when they're on defense. The gaps are closed instantaneously. The space for the quarterback, the space for the receiver, the hole for the running back, it feels like is closed instantaneously. The type of defense the Green Bay Packers play, at least through the first 2 weeks of the season, for me right now feel like suffocating defense. It feels like there are 22, in terms of last night, white hats on the field, but normally green or yellow, maybe their hats are yellow. Nonetheless, I digress. It feels like there's 22 of them on the defensive side and not just 11. 4 sacks last night for this Green Bay Packers team and 3 tackles for losses. Okay? That is 2 fantastic statistics. If you're not going to come away with turnovers, with which the Packers did not, there was not one turnover in this football game yesterday. I found that to be a really awesome statistic. If you're not going to be turning the ball over, you need to be forcing plays that are putting you in down and long distance, which the Packers did. And on top of that, last night, they hit Jaden Daniels 12 times, and that's 12 recorded times, by the way. So there was pressure on the quarterback. There was zero space for the Commanders to find area to make a play. And the Packers, from the defense back to the offense, are looking like a legitimate team. On the offensive side, Jordan Love, 292 yards, 2 TDs, 113.9 passer rating. Josh Jacobs on the ground. He only averaged 3.7 yards per carry, but he had 23 of them for 84 yards and a TD, and there was some hard running in there. This is a concern for me, for the Green Bay Packers, the running game, okay? Because when you look at the carry distribution, there were 40 of them in this game yesterday. There was 30 of them in this game yesterday, and 23 of them came from Josh Jacobs. That's nearly a 90% clip of all footballs being handed off to Josh Jacobs. That is not sustainable for a running back over 17 games in the National Football League. So I love to see how they get that running game matriculated a little bit better than just with Josh Jacobs, but that is minutely nitpicking this team right now. Finally, leading receiver on my fantasy team, shout out, Tucker Kraft, the tight end for Green Bay, 6 receptions, 124 yards, and a TD. By the way, Luke Musgrave had 32 receiving yards as well. The tight ends for Green Bay had a combined 156 receiving yards and a touchdown yesterday and 8 receptions. This 2 tight end system, this, what they might call jumbo package or 11 personnel or whatever terminology they want to use. This is it for the Green Bay Packers. This is good stuff. It clearly makes Jordan Love more confident. It clearly gives him more options. And you can clearly see that this is an offense under Matt LaFleur that is absolutely trending in the right direction. And this is 5 years in the making, by the way, people. To go back to my New York Football Giants point yesterday with my brother, if you missed it, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, just search Rome Show podcast. Rocky wants Jackson Dart. He's done with Russell Wilson. I'm not done with Russell Wilson, but my point is, why did you sign Jameis Winston? I don't think you need to rush the rookie quarterback in under center when there's not much to play for this year outside of his experience. Because if you look at the history of teams, and Green Bay's a fantastic example, dating back to Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre, Hall of Fame dude. Aaron Rodgers sits behind him for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers becomes a Hall of Fame dude. Now, Aaron Rodgers is towards the end of his career. They draft Jordan Love. Jordan Love sits behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Now, Jordan Love looks like to be a franchise quarterback. And I'm not saying that's the path either, though we talked about Patrick Mahomes yesterday sitting for his first year. That might not be the path either, but I think that path gives you such a significant benefit long-term for the quarterback than to throw him in the fire with a not good enough team because you didn't do a good enough job building your roster. Last night, they couldn't stop talking about how much Jordan Love learned from his time behind Aaron Rodgers. And it's funny because on the outside looking in, it was like, oh, this could be a problem for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he wanted weapons. He didn't want Jordan Love. Well, the Packers made a franchise decision that allowed them to still stay competitive and prepare for the next 15 years, which most franchises don't know how to do. So the reason why a team like the Packers is long-term always in the mix for good teams is because they can make smart decisions like this. So any franchise with a young quarterback and you're like, I want to see this guy. Take a deep breath sometimes. A little patience sometimes. Look back at the Jordan. Who would have thought Jordan Love would be one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the league? I promise you, there's not many people out there that aren't talking heads on NFL Network that thought this guy would be as good as he is. And if you are, I need you to call up. I need you to write in. The Rome Show, YouTube, Twitter X, Instagram, find us, write in, let me know. On the flip side, the Commanders could not get anything done last night offensively. 200 total yards for Jaden Daniels in the air, 217 total if you include the 17 rushing yards, 2 TDs, no interceptions. His leading receiver was Zach Ertz, and that tells me something about this offense right now. They don't look in sync. Okay, they didn't look in sync when they only scored 21 points against the New York Football Giants in week number 1, and they don't look in sync scoring 18 points, 15 of which came in the fourth quarter against the Green Bay Packers. Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and a few of these other guys they have in this mix, they're really working their way through figuring out how this offense is going to look. On top of that, run game. Okay, they only ran for 51 yards last night with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Austin Eckler might have gotten hurt. Krosky-Merritt in 2 games has only rushed for 99 yards. Okay, that's not what you're looking for on your ground attack if you're the Washington Commanders. So I think it starts there for this Commanders team. I think their defense is good enough. Okay, I think yesterday was a little bit more bend, don't break. Okay, gave up a touchdown in the first quarter, a touchdown in the second quarter, really neutralized the Commanders in the midpoint of that game the Packers, to allow their offense to get a chance to come back, which started to happen. Okay, that's a good Green Bay offense. And so, yes, there are some things that need to be adjusted on the Commanders' side. Did an all right job of pressure last night, but I think there are just way too many open receivers, and when you look back at the Giants tape, it's not that they played unreal exceptional defense, though it was good. Or was it as bad, or was it just Russell Wilson was bad? Their offense was just bad. And this week showed you a little bit of, well, maybe their defense wasn't as good as the 6 points they held the Giants to. And I don't think they're as bad as giving up 27 every game, because this is an exceptional team in Green Bay. And the Commanders are still figuring themselves out. But I think there's a lot of question marks on the Commanders' side right now, starting with the run game on offense and the consistency of their run game on offense, their continuity with their new weapon, Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz, and how they want to work this thing. And then obviously, once you put all that together, then you could start to flow consistently. I think that's all you're really seeing for Washington right now. They will figure it out long term. I absolutely believe that. You see spurts of it. It's just going to take a second. A lot of major changes. New running back, new 1B wide receiver. Start there. You don't need to change anything else. Those 2 things are enough to cause an offense to not look locked in the first week of the season. That's your Thursday night football review, ladies and gentlemen, from last night. It's the midpoint of the show. That means we take a quick commercial break. Then when we come back, we will give you all of our picks for week number 2 over the weekend. Plus, we have Seska's Sense, our new college football Friday picks. Man, I'm excited for it. It's the Rome Show. Andrew Romanella will be back after this commercial break that you should sponsor and support. I can't wait. Yeah, welcome back into the Rome Show here. 12 ounce. Nope, not anymore. You got to go to youtube.com/the Romanellas and make sure to subscribe. We're going to keep doing that for a little bit longer until we all get comfortable with where the new site lies. youtube.com/the Romanellas. Twitter X.com/the Rome Show 1. Instagram Live Rome Show 1 as well. We got a whole new segment for the people today. It is called Seska's Sense, brought to you by my guy, Rich Seska. He's going to be our resident college football expert for the people. And what he is going to do is he is going to give us some college football plays of the weekend. And we have a few. Okay, so why don't we start the intro here, our new intro. Hope you enjoy it, and we will get you into some Seska Sense right now for the people.
Seska's Sense, your weekly college football bananas, only on the Rome Show. Compliments of Rich Seska. Rich Seska is not liable for bad decisions you make with your bananas. These plays are merely educated guesses or even high-level personal intuition. This is not a get-rich-quick or pyramid scheme. We do not call ourselves experts, just fans. Viewer banana spending advised.
All right, welcome into Seska Sense, ladies and gentlemen. The new show here, the new segment here on the Rome Show. This is going to happen every Friday. Our guy, Rich Seska, is going to give you his banana college football picks for the weekend. Right now, we have two for the people, okay? We have one that hopefully will bring you some joy if you are a consistent listener to the Rome Show. Let's get started off with your first pick for college football this weekend is going to be UConn minus 345, okay? And LSU minus 278. And South Carolina minus 161. That would be, ladies and gentlemen, what we call a yogurt parfait on this show. So you'd be taking UConn, you'd be taking South Carolina, and you'd be taking LSU, all at favorite odds to give you a plus 181 odds for that yogurt parfait. Now, here is why Mr. Seska likes these games. First and foremost, UConn, they're coming off a loss to Syracuse where they blew a 17-6 lead, okay? And they're playing Delaware, which is the first-year team in the FBS. We watched them play Colorado last week. And by the way, you remember the Syracuse thing from last week? Fran Brown ran them after the game. Yeah, not good. So I'll tell you what, that could be something right there. LSU, okay, minus 278. Their quarterback, Garrett Nussmeiser, is a Heisman contender, top defense in a minute for this LSU team playing Florida. Billy Napier's on the hot seat there. So who knows what happens? It's going to be the last game he coaches in the blue and the orange. And then finally, we have South Carolina at -166. I love the South Carolina team. I really, really do. Lenora Sellers, the quarterback, looks like he could be legit. The environment at South Carolina is stupid. So that is the breakdown. So you're going to take UConn at -345, coming off of a tough loss against Syracuse, playing a new FBS Delaware team. You're going to take LSU against a bad Florida team right now, and you're taking South Carolina. That 3-set yogurt parfait for +181. And then Mr. Seska's got your Sun Belt play of the week. And listen, ladies and gentlemen, as deemed yesterday on the Rome Show with our resident hockey expert, Rocky Romanella, this is the official show of the Sun Belt Conference. And App State, who sits at 2-0 in the Sun Belt Conference right now, is the pick for Mr. Seska on Seska's Sense. Listen, App State's averaging over 190 yards per game on the ground. 5.5 yards per carry. This is Ashton Janti type stuff for App State's running back, one of two undefeated Sun Belt teams. They'll take on Southern Miss. Now, Charles Huff, the head coach at Southern Miss, was the head coach at Marshall. He helped Marshall win the conference last year, but did not get a contract extension. Little known fact about Charlie Huff, he has been on the Rome Show airwaves. How, you might ask? 4 years ago. Maybe even 5 now. I was producing a podcast called Fast 5-Star Podcast. Shout out to the quarterbacks coach at Monmouth University, Jimmy Robertson. Jimmy would produce the Fast 5-Star Podcast, and he'd interview football personalities across the country. And Charles Huff, coming off of being the offensive coordinator, I believe it was, at Alabama, got the Marshall head coaching job and did an interview with my guy, Jimmy Robertson, on the Wide World of Rome Show airwaves. So if you can go find the Fast 5-Star Podcast, okay, you'll be able to find an interview with Charles Huff on these airwaves. Our guy Seska's got App State at -2.5 for your Sun Belt play of the week. That is your first installment of Seska's Sense. Enjoy your yogurt parfait, including UConn, LSU, and South Carolina, and your straight up play of -2.5 for App.
Seska's Sense, your weekly college football bananas, only on the Rome Show. Compliments of Rich Seska. Rich Seska is not liable for bad decisions you make with your bananas. These plays are merely educated guesses or even high-level personal intuition. This is not a get-rich-quick or pyramid scheme. We do not call ourselves experts, just fans. Viewer banana spending advised.
And we'll be back in 25 seconds to finish off the show. All right. Welcome back into the Rome Show here. Andrew Romanella broadcasting live on YouTube and Twitter X. Hopefully you're following. If you aren't, you're making a huge mistake. This is going to be a combination of week 2 NFL picks and what you're watching this weekend. Before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to the GOAT, Aaron Judge. We talked about this on the show Wednesday. He passed, I believe it was Joe DiMaggio, for 4th all-time on the Yankees home run list. If you were wondering, here's a crazy stat for you. Joe DiMaggio never struck out more than 39 times in a season, okay? The most amount of Ks for Joe DiMaggio in a season ever was 39 in his 13 years playing in Major League Baseball. Aaron Judge, who's played 10 years of Major League Baseball and just passed Joe DiMaggio for most 4th all-time on Yankees home run list, his most strikeouts in a season, 208. Yeah, that'll show you how much the game has changed. Career 292 hitter, Aaron Judge. Career 325 hitter, Joe DiMaggio. So congratulations to Aaron Judge, continuing to cement his Yankees lore, breaking some records. All right, let's get into the week coming up ahead for the people in the National Football League. We got it kicked off yesterday with the Commanders and the Packers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no Friday night football this week in the National Football League. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Let's get through it. First and foremost, the Pats. They're at the Dolphins. Dolphins not playing good football already, and it's early. The Dolphins, however, are favored by 1.5. 42.5 is the over. I'm going to take Miami here, and I'm going to take them at the -1.5. This isn't a homer pick. It's the fact that it's still September in Florida, and just because New England feels better doesn't mean they can handle that heat better, and they still didn't show much at home against the Raiders last weekend to give me pause, or give me excitement, so it gives me pause. Dolphins -1.5. Jags at Bengals. Bengals are only favored by 3.5 in this game. I think first week changes this line a little bit. Both teams are 1-0. I'll take the Bengals at home at the -3.5. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 5.5. I will also take Dallas by the 5.5 until the Giants prove to me that they can score a touchdown, let alone cover the spread. I'm going to have to essentially pick against the Giants almost every week. The Bears, they're at the Lions, and this automatically becomes a huge NFC North showdown because both teams are 0-1. The Lions are favored in this game by 6.5. Now, I want to believe that what I saw in the first 3.5 quarters last week of the Bears is who the Bears are. But I'm not fully positive on that. And in the flip side, I don't want to believe that what I saw in week 1 against the Packers is any resemblance of what the Detroit Lions will be. Ben Johnson, he returns home to Detroit as the first-time head coach of the Chicago Bears. I'm going to have to take the Lions here at the -6.5. I just can't trust the Bears until they prove it to me, especially after they lost that lead last week, where I'm sitting here going, I might have a chance here to cover this. No, never mind. The Bears, they blew it in the fourth quarter. Lions -6.5. Rams at Titans. The Rams are favored by 5.5 in Tennessee. I'll take the Rams in Tennessee by the 5.5. I don't think this is going to be a great game. 49ers at Saints. It looks like Mac Jones is going to be the starter for the 49ers. Listen, I'm not as down on Spencer Rattler as a lot of other people are down on Spencer Rattler. I think he's got a chance here. I think the Saints can be okay with him at the quarterback position. And I think the 49ers, if not playing with their number 1 quarterback, who I already have question marks with, and playing with Mac Jones, give me the Saints as the underdog here. I want the Saints, and I want them at the +3.5. Bills at the Jets. Bills favored by 6.5 in this game. Do I think the Jets can keep this game close? Absolutely. Do I think the Bills are significantly better? Absolutely. A tough game for me to pick right now, because I could see it being a 3-point contest as much as I could see it being a 13-point contest. So I'm going to stick with the Bills being the favorite at the 6.5, and then we are going to take it from there. Steelers hosting the Seahawks, favored by 3.5. I'll take that. Give me Pittsburgh at the -3.5. I just think they're a better team, and they're at home. Seattle, a lot of question marks to answer, even with Sam Darnold at the helm. The Ravens are favored by 11.5 against the Browns. I just can't believe this, because even though I think the Ravens are way better than the Browns, that seems like a really large number for a team that has a pretty solid defense, and especially defensive line in the Browns. Give me the Browns at the +11.5. Broncos at Colts. Broncos only favored by 1.5 in this game. Why? Probably because they didn't play too good against Tennessee last week, and the Colts absolutely slaughtered and almost ended the Dolphins season in 1 week. It's a tough one. Denver by 1.5. I mean, it's really, they're giving you no margin for error. You're either choosing the Broncos to win this game, or you're choosing the Colts to win this game. I'm going to stick with my survivor pick from last week, and I'm going to take Denver, and I'm going to take them at the 1.5, though I think this will be as close as it says it's going to be. Panthers at Cardinals. Cardinals favored by 6.5. I think the Panthers are better than they showed. I think the Cardinals are exactly who we thought they were, beating the Saints 20-13 and being spotty, but they're at home. So give me AZ at the -6.5. Chiefs, they host the Eagles. It's a Super Bowl rematch. Okay? The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes have never been 2-0. Well, Patrick Mahomes is the starting quarterback for the Chiefs, and they're at home. As much as I could see this game going the way that it went in the Super Bowl is as easily as I see this game going the way of the Chiefs make their season 1-1, shut down all thoughts that they're really bad at football, and put a little bit of a quote-unquote revenge on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles favored by 1.5. Give me KC. Give me KC at the +1.5. I'm going to go with the team that for 10 years has proven to me has been the best in the National Football League. Then finally, Sunday Night Football this week is going to be a good one, I think. A high-scoring affair, in my opinion. Falcons at Vikings. Okay, J.J. McCarthy came on strong in that game versus the Bears on Monday night, and that second half looked a whole lot more like what we expect the Minnesota Vikings to look like. The Falcons, they're okay. They have offensive weapons. They're not too deep. They're okay defensively, but on the road in Minnesota, I don't know how that's going to play out. Minnesota's favored by 3.5 in this contest. I'll take Minnesota at the 3.5. That is your week 2 NFL picks across the board. We put it up on Instagram at the Rome Show 1. That's the Rome Show, then the number 1 on Instagram and Twitter X. We'll put that out Saturday night or Sunday morning so the people can follow our picks. Just want to say this because normally we do Whatcha Watchin to end this segment, but we kind of go through all the week 2 games, and in my opinion, that's what you're watching, right? So I just wanted to throw this out there. The Metropolitans, they got swept by the Phillies over the weekend. They've lost 6 straight. It does not look good for the Mets. It almost feels like they're not going to make the playoffs, so that almost feels impossible. But that's not why I tell you to watch them this weekend. I tell you to watch them tonight, specifically Friday, September 12th, because Jacob deGrom returns to Citi Field for the first time since leaving the New York Metropolitans. First time since leaving the New York Metropolitans. I'm excited to watch that. So I want to give out one special shout out. Whatcha Watchin for tonight. Tune in to Jacob deGrom's return to Citi Field. He was a Met for a really long time, won 2 Cy Young Awards there, built his career as a New York Metropolitan, meant so much to this franchise at the time that he was in the franchise. Okay. And so for me, this is going to be a fun return. So if you're not just watching football over the weekend, then go ahead and pop on that Jacob deGrom return to Citi Field. That was a great Friday show. You have a fantastic weekend. Need I say it be electric? I hope it is. Until Monday morning at 7:05, I'm Andrew Romanella. Thank you for supporting the show. I'll see you next week. Have a fun weekend. Andrew Romanella. Peace!
Thank you for listening.